everybody. This is Tony from Freedom at the Crossroads, helping women everywhere look better, feel better without, yes, the pressure. So, welcome to my new episode. It's been a while. I apologize to everyone who's been expecting me to have put out more videos here on YouTube and things of that nature. I just got bogged down with things, personal things, business, things off screen and everything. So I apologize. One who stayed true to my channel and supported me, I apologize. Today, I just want to talk about skincare and you and what that means and why it's super important and why I'm such a skincare freak and why I'm so passionate about it, particularly when women's skincare. And, so I'm just going to jump in and feel free to, chime in, ladies. This is particularly for women. For those of you who don't know me, I am a women's fit lifestyle and empowerment coach, strategist, and I'm also a speaker, podcaster, and yes, I'm a blogger and writer as well. So I do a lot of things, but I'm also in healthcare. That's my background. I'm in healthcare. My background is also in biological anthropology, or rather, my concentration was in biological anthropology because of my real interest in human health from a cross-cultural perspective. And then while I was in school too, even before I was in school, because I was kind of a bohemian child when it came to college and things of that nature. So I did a lot of things, I explored a lot of things in college and found my passion. Actually, if I'm honest, my real passion has always been anthropology. I've always been interested in different cultures, how they lived, how they perceived different things. And when I look back on, on the years, past, and even, when I look to the present, I see a continuing, issues with perceptions of beauty, womanhood, roles, gender, and things of that nature. But I don't want to get all, academic, so to speak, and get off on a tangent, because what I really want to talk about is skincare for women within the context of self-care and self-love. And what does your skincare routine say about you? Are you one of those people, like I have a number of colleagues, especially in healthcare, who are, chronically tired, chronically stressed, even though, they love their jobs, they're passionate about it, they love what they do, but, the real issues around self-care and self-love are just like almost non-existent. And so how does that play out when it comes to skincare? Your skincare, I truly believe your skincare routine reflects a lot of what's going on within you. Just like a lot of times, you know, old adage, a messy home is a messy life, kind of, old adages. And when I look back on those things, I'm like, damn, a lot of that is true. Because if you're so busy, if you don't have time to cater to self, if you don't make time, if you actually see something wrong with taking care of yourself and really connecting, because actually what we do, and if you look at the animals in the animal kingdom, if you look at felines, they spend a lot of time grooming. And why? Grooming is an aspect of healthcare, self-care, that we completely miss in the Western world, completely miss the mark on, especially with the onset of industrialization. There's, things are so hectic, and life has become so complicated and so hectic, unnecessarily so. And I think a lot of that has to do with marketing too. Marketing to the average person, things that we don't really need. And so we're constantly chasing that and constantly spending money and, the rat race around, working to pay bills and things of that nature. But again, let's not get on a tangent. I want to talk to women because that's, my passion. I recognize that men have issues, they have needs, and they need self-care as well. But I am particularly passionate about women's health care, women's self care, and self love because my story is filled with people that connect or connected to me personally who literally lost their lives because they did not do self care. They did not connect with self. They did not establish those boundaries, those defining of your sacred space. And really, that's what it is. And I truly believe that skincare is an external manifestation of self care, self love, and creating and owning and respecting boundaries. Because when you say, I've had so many coworkers in healthcare, all women, I don't have time. I don't have a time to take. I said, I remember one time a coworker was saying that, her body was just so, she could really do with a bath, a bubble bath. And I told her, I said, why don't you do it? She said, well, I've got this to do, I've got that to do, and then the kids, and then it did. And I said, stop. I said, you will never have time for self if you don't erect those boundaries, if you don't respect yourself enough, if you don't value yourself enough, because typically we pay attention to those things that we value. And, let me just give you a quick example. You've heard the thing where, you always, your friends are having a get together and they always, you always invite all these people, and then it's just that one person that's always, I'm sorry, I'm so busy, or and then you find out later that she made time to go do something else, and you're like, okay, so it wasn't that you were busy, it just wasn't that important to you. So when you establish value of something, when you value yourself enough, and I think, a lot of women are missing the mark on subconsciously and even mentally, because a lot of, I've had a lot of resistance too to people saying, women saying, oh, what do you mean? I don't care about myself. I care about myself. I just don't have time to see. Those are excuses. And so what's at the core of that? If you come, I'm sure, a lot of cultures, and in Western cultures included, have this issue. And that's why, and this issue being, value and self-worth tied to what you are able, tied to works, tied to roles, tied to the roles you play, tied to what you're able to give. And, that whole cycle of the crazy hamster wheel going nowhere, where you're constantly spreading yourself so thin. You never say no to anybody, regardless of how ridiculous it is. You go and do this for that person. You go only to, for people to say, I hear this a lot, especially in traditional African culture. Oh, she's such a good woman. She takes care of the kids. She does this. She goes to work. She does this. She stays up till midnight cooking for her husband. Now, I'm sorry. That's just crazy. And I've seen it in my own, I have a personal anecdote to add to that, layer to that, of how crazy that is. And it's crazy because society and culture, as well as unhealthy relationships you have with yourself and perceptions and images of yourself and what you think about yourself, are tied up in, I gave of myself, I sacrificed myself on this altar of giving. Not that giving is a bad thing. Giving is not a bad thing. Hey, I'm all for giving. I'm all for serving. But you must have boundaries. And when I talk about skincare as an expression of that, because that's what it is. Skincare, good skincare that, really is geared towards literally feeding and nourishing yourself intentionally, renewing the body, renewing the skin. The skin skin cells die in the hundreds, renewing, even in your body internally. You just can't see it. Cells, thousands of cells die every day. They have a finite lifespan, dying every day, turning over. You turn over new skin literally every day, people, by the hour. So when I say how skincare, why I'm a skincare freak, is super important, because when you intentionally nourish your skin, when you intentionally put things on your skin, cloak the shell that is your skin. When you cloak that, you are acknowledging and tapping into the intrinsic internal value of you, of your who you are. It's a renewing of your mind. It is a renewing of the body. How many times have you gone to, taken the time to go to a spa and been pampered and all of that? The experience, the mental, emotional, and spiritual experience of going through that activity. And that's what skincare is. Skincare is very personal, it's very intimate, and it forces you to reconnect with self. It forces you to reconnect with your body, and it forces you to look at how you see yourself, because you're in the mirror, you're maybe putting your serum on, you put your moisturizer, your astringent, and then your serum, and then your moisturizer, whatever. Those activities, those set of activities, that action all reinforces self and your perceptions of self. And it can be negative or positive. If you have allowed society to brainwash you into devaluing yourself, or you live in a culture that is very repressive and things of that nature, and that's the case in a lot of ethnic groups, a lot of cultures around the world, particularly non-Western cultures. It's still very prevalent even in 2018. I can attest to that. Coming from Nigeria, women are, younger generation of women that have come after, several that have come after me, they are, rising up and saying, no more of this, no more of this. And you see that same underlying emotion and voicing of, self in the movements like Me Too and in the self-care movement, self-love movement. That's what it's all about. If you really look under the surface, that's what is being shouted out. Women are beginning to get their voices, and they're beginning to give voice to all these things that we have been dealing with historically, culturally, for decades, for years, for centuries, for millennia. And we're tired of being manipulated by media, manipulated by culture, and dominated by certain stakeholders in order to reinforce and keep the status quo. But that's a whole nother episode, so I'm gonna wrap it up here, and just drive home the importance of skincare. That's why I'm a skincare freak. I know, because it's super important. It forces you to realign. It forces you to really look in your eyes in the mirror and say, wow, is that what I think of myself? Because what you do to yourself is a reflection of what's going on inside. And if you don't make that connection, you totally miss the whole skincare thing, the whole self-love. Self-love and self-care are just words you bandy around like the next fad or the next pair of shoes or whatever. It doesn't really connect, and it doesn't really resonate with you. But if you hear what I'm saying, this is what I'm talking about. So this is Tonya, your girl from Freedom at the Crossroads, helping women everywhere look better, feel better without the pressure. Goddess thoughts. Whoa. Goddess talks. So this is Tonya from Freedom at the Crossroads. Tune in for the next episode, where we'll be talking more about women and our issues, what's working, what doesn't work, and more along the same vein of self-love, self-care. That's my jam. I'm totally in love and passionate about saving women's lives through self-care and self-love. So tune in for next time, peeps. Thank you for staying with me and staying with the episode.